Welcome to our latest White Pod. I'm Stephen Blaine, your host with White Labs, an e-commerce internet marketing agency. Our guest today is Ryan. Ryan, feel free to introduce yourself and let our viewers know a little bit of your background.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. My name is Ryan Hunts, and I am the founder and perfumer of Beach Geeza, which is a niche perfume house that creates fragrances that make you smell like you're on a beach vacation.
I live in Deerfield Beach, Florida, so that helps. So tell me more about the product. How did you get into that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a story. So I used to be a cameraman, and I would do work for home shopping channels, creative agencies. I was doing all kinds of things in media, mostly a lot of camera work, but directing and producing some stuff. But I was getting sent all over the world and getting a lot of really interesting kind of cultural experience and getting to go to a lot of really cool exotic beaches and places. And or even just going to like India, getting to experience like the spice markets in Jaipur, getting to know what, certain things kind of smell like, the smells of it. It would just really captured my imagination in the moment, Anyway, and so at the same time, I was really getting into shaving. I don't shave very much now, but back then I was really getting into like the shave soaps and like the aftershave. So I was familiar with like what sandalwood smelled like, what vetiver smelled like, things like that, just kind of a basic knowledge of it. And coupled with that, my whole life, I'd kind of been searching for like a signature scent. So anyway, one day we were in Bali, Indonesia, and we were shooting in this little like botanical garden that was just off of the beach. They have like a city park, like a beautiful like botanical garden. I forget what it's called, but it's gorgeous. And somewhere in there, we were setting up a shot, and somewhere in there, I could smell vetiver grass. I couldn't tell you where it was, but it was in there. I could smell it. And it was mixing with the sea salt breeze, like coming in from the beach. And it just smelled like pure heaven to me. I was just like, the shot we're setting up here, like, looks great.
Yeah.
How do I capture this? This is where it's at. And that just kind of like, it was an idea that kind of like blossomed in my mind, like a vacation scent, something that smelled like that actually took you back there. And one night I was having a really lively conversation with two British friends of mine. We came up with the name Beach Geeza. They were like, "That's you, dude. You got to call it that. That's what it needs to be, dude. That's you." And I was like, okay. So it just kind of stuck. And I got so excited about the idea, I just kind of poured over every bit of material online that I could find, every book that I could find. I would call and hit up different perfumers like Yosh Han and people like that on Instagram and just sort of like pester them, And it took about a year of research and an initial investment. And I have to also give props to a guy named Jesse. I think his name is Jesse, and his YouTube channel is Fragrance View. Back a few years ago, he had some videos on how to make perfume. It wasn't like going to like grass school for perfumery, but it was enough to like kind of get you started. He basically took about 2 years of research and compressed it into 2 45-minute videos. I don't even know if those videos are up anymore, but it didn't make me a perfumer, but it gave me enough knowledge to get things started, like from a technical perspective, like a basic technical perspective. And I thought to myself, if that guy can do it, I can do it. So I ordered everything that I needed. And because perfumery is really one of the last kind of coveted industries where all the trade secrets aren't like out there on YouTube. You know what I mean? It really does take a lot of research to discover and find out. Now, more people are figuring these things out, and more niche perfume houses are starting to come up. But I was able to get a foothold into a really interesting kind of sector of the segment in the beach vacation kind of area of it back a few years ago before it started becoming really, really crowded. So I was able to build an audience and a customer base. And so that really helped out. And it was great because in 2020, I was able to fully transition into it full time, by getting into the farmers markets and having an online customer base that was big enough to be able to support me and my family. I mean, not like a huge plush, like rich living, but enough to like pay the bills, pay the mortgage, get by and be like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. This is my full-time gig now. So,
awesome. That's great to hear. That's an entrepreneur story, to say the least. So, what are your best-selling products? What are your most popular products? What's the best scent in your opinion, and what sells the most?
Yeah, so there's a fragrance called Coco Moon, which was, I believe it was like the second fragrance that I actually finished and released. It is by far my most popular fragrance. I mean, when people think of beach fragrances, they think of coconut, tropical, sitting on the beach with a pina colada, smelling like suntan oil. And that's what it smells like. And so when people and also it lasts a really long time on your skin, and it has a lot of very natural ingredients. So it changes and develops as you wear it throughout the day. So it's like actual fine, like niche perfumery. It doesn't smell like fake or plasticky or synthetic or linear. It's very, very traditionally made. And it is by far
Awesome.
my most popular fragrance. And then behind that would be Ocean Water, which is a marine aquatic scent that's really fresh, great for the cold, warm weather, things like that. And it's good to layer with my other fragrances. And my personal favorite one that I've made, and since we're in the cold weather season, it was a limited release that I did last year called Monkey's Blood, which has like a blood orange and saffron and a sweet spiciness to it that I just really love. I'm like, this stuff is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what, I'm sure I know you're in the, the scent business. So what makes you different than your competitors? Or better? How about that? What makes you better?
Sure. Yeah, no, good question. I think that what makes us better is that we use, every single bottle that I make uses really high quality ingredients. A lot of your mainstream competitors, you have a lot of people involved, a lot of people who are number crunching to see how much margin we can get out of every single bottle because they're doing it in really high volumes. And it's not that it's not done with a lot of skill. So I think it's our materials. I don't mind spending a lot of money per bottle to make sure that the quality is in the bottle. Also, just our brand is just a lot of fun. The fragrances are super transportive. You spray it on, it takes you right there. People will tell me this took me right back to my honeymoon. This took me right back to my childhood. One woman brought tears to her eyes because she's like, it took me back to when I was a little girl in the Philippines. Some people have said, one person told me that I got a job promotion because I was wearing her fragrance and got noticed by my boss. And then we got a rapport going and then I got a promotion. A couple people have told me they've met their significant other just being out in public and somebody saying, hey, who smells so good in here? And then getting a talk going. Next thing you know,
that's
they're
awesome.
boyfriend and girlfriend and they're getting married.
That's awesome. Look at that.
Yeah.
You're a love expert. You should have been on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of, you hear those kinds of stories and there's like, if you go to the Beach Geeza website, you just see just hundreds and hundreds of testimonials of people telling their stories and why they like the fragrance. And so, and so because it's a small company and everything is artisanal, it's got a personal touch to it, and so people can interact with me personally. They can ask me questions. They can actually talk to the perfumer. So that's another kind of component to it as well.
Awesome. So are you in any stores as well, or is it all online?
Right now, it's all online and then at local markets and sometimes some retail shows. We're trying to get into stores, of course, talking to different distributors. But, it's funny that you asked that because, that's the point that I'm at now. And this is the place where a lot of entrepreneurs, like, how do you jump the chasm, from where I'm at to the next step? And that's scaling.
Yeah.
And developing those relationships to scale because it can't just be me and my small team anymore. Now we've got to really get everything going to be able to ramp things up and scale and be ready for when those big orders come in from, say, a store or a big distributor, in the Southeast Asia or something like that.
You never know when you're going to get that phone call, right?
So. You never know. And they kind of want it ready. They want you ready to go now. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're looking for products this season.
So what are some activities that you do to promote the brand?
So the markets are great. Instagram is great. I got started on Instagram really back a few years ago. The fragrance community was so super just inviting and welcoming to somebody new like me before I'd even released I just got on there and started talking about how I want to create these beach fragrances and started hashtagging and following other people in the fragrance community. Not so much influencers, just regular people who collect fragrances. And they were like, wow, when is this coming out? When is this going to happen? And I was just like, geez, all right, I got to come up with something. I've got to release something because people are getting excited about it. And so so promotion really just, I don't pay for ads or anything like that. It's always just been word of mouth, people in the fragrance community, and the fragrance sort of travels. You're wearing it out in public and people ask you, what is that? At the markets, I give out these scented cards with a QR code. So me and the team will pre-spray all of these cards that have that particular fragrance's name on it with the brand and a QR code. And people are walking by and they look at you like, what are you giving me? I'm like, here, just try this, smell this. It's a scented card. And they smell it. They're like, what is that? And I'm like, well, that's Coco Moon. Yeah. And they're smelling the base notes right now. Let me spray it up fresh. You get the top notes. Now it's going to be brighter, more pineapple zest. They're like, whoa, it really changed. And I'm like, yeah. So that kind of gets things going. And they might not buy right then and there, but they'll keep walking with it. And then people come back and they're like, hey, I just met a guy with a card that smelled really good. Like he walked by and I smelled it. Like, what is that? And so the scent travels and promotes itself. That's one of the best ways to do promotion, getting the scent out there in public and people actually experience it in person. And then, And then, yeah, I mean, of course, doing email campaigns and different campaigns and product launches on Instagram and building excitement for like the new products that are coming out or just things like that throughout the year.
Awesome. I know you kind of touched on it a little earlier, but what is your future plan and vision here?
Yeah, so the next step for us is scaling up to being able to produce higher volume, because that's in the perfume industry. You can only take it so far on your own by selling online and selling at the markets. And then that will help us have bigger cash flow. And from that point, then I would love to be able to bring in more products, not just perfumes, but Beach Geeza is such a fun, playful brand. You could have hats,
definitely. Yeah.
apparel, shirts, all kinds of accessories and stuff. So I'd actually like to have a proper store, like a storefront that has a real genuinely kind of authentic, unique experience when you walk in. It's just like, wow, this is different. This is cool. You know what I mean? And create a real unique retail experience for people. And that's ultimately the goal. And of course, like every other entrepreneur, it's like, if I can get it to that point,
exactly.
Do I keep it or do I sell it?
Definitely, Ryan. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that you want our audience to know about your really fun brand here?
Yeah, I mean, follow us on Instagram, at Beach Geeza, to get kind of the latest updates on like what I'm working on and what I'm doing. I take people in behind and show them a bit of the process and the batch creation. People seem to like really, really love that. Then this year, kind of like a garden variety of marketing with products and bottles and things. People actually like to see the process, how it's crafted, how it's done. So definitely, if you're interested, check that out on Instagram, and then go to our website, beachgeeza.com, and read about the products, and it's pretty comprehensive for you. So you can learn all about it.
I've been reading it for the last hour or so. It's very cool. I want to try one. So I feel like it's very beachy, and I live in a beach town. So yeah, I see it. I like it.
I'd love to get your feedback.
Definitely, Ryan. Thanks for coming on.